There is eagerness in the American society to know what the lost boy is, in which all of us were here to explain our history.
We were also attacked by the enemy, which is the northern troop. We were also attacked by lions on the way and wild animal, and many of the boys were killed.
You know, you always see those pictures of children on television in these hopeless situations, and these young men were those children.
We did not have food to eat, and some of us died of starvation. Some of us died of animal attacks. Some of us died of snake bite and other insects.
Sudan is the largest country in Africa, ruled by a fundamentalist Muslim government in the north. Indigenous black Africans in the south are either Christian or hold to ancient tribal religions. With decades of civil war between north and south, Sudan lacks electricity, running water, good roads, good education, and good medical care. In the 1980s, thousands of young boys, many elementary school age, were away from home tending their families' cattle and were separated from their parents when the North, the government of Sudan, attacked villages in the south.
And these lost boys were out tending, I guess, the sheep or whatever livestock. And I think they were out away from the village for some length of time doing this. And when they came back to their various villages, they found that their parents had been fathers killed, brothers killed, and their mothers and daughters put into slavery or taken prisoners.
No, this is Islamic government actually, and they want everybody to be a Muslim. And they don't want this Christianity to be spread.
The government of Sudan army destroyed many churches and killed pastors in the south.
Where the government of Sudan, our enemies, they came and take the pastor from the church. From here, they tied pastor with the rope, strongly, severe beating. They began to beat the pastor. Pastor here is preaching the gospel, teaching the Christianity. Come and take the pastor from the church. And then they take the pastor to Juba. Then there they put it in a prison. And then after that, they kill pastor.
Praise and our thanksgiving that you be honored and glorified.
Charlotte pastor Charles Mack traveled to South Sudan to learn the facts for himself.
Our government can't make us shut up or shut down. These people, if they rise up to express themselves, they're annihilated. Families are killed, crops are destroyed, animals, cows and things are killed, homes are taken, families are raped, and then they've got to run into the wilderness and sleep on a tent or sheets. So we don't have any problem.
See, I love my parents, and knowingly that I'm going somewhere because the war has scattered us and we love different directions. So when we were not living with the parents, no mother, no father, not even brothers.
So they started walking.
And so they kind of coalesced and walked out of the country together.
And as they walked, they found more and more boys that were walking. Some of them were like maybe as young as 4 or 5 years old, some older, up to 13 or whatever. And so they had a bigger and bigger group, and as Gabriel would describe, the older ones sort of looked after the younger boys and would help them across the rivers. And it's that I don't know exactly how many miles they walked on foot and helping carry the younger ones. And they encountered lions, they encountered crossing the river with crocodiles.
And we end up in Ethiopia.
It's pretty horrible. And they finally made it to Ethiopia. And from there they were put in some refugee camps. And then the UN got wind of it and made provisions for some of these boys to be transported to different places, including the United States.
Kind individuals and churches in Charlotte and other cities have helped the lost boys who arrived here to adjust to a place they could hardly have imagined.
First of all, when they came here, it was a tremendous act of bravery because this was a land that they knew in only the vaguest kind of terms.
I think the students would be interested in knowing how completely unprepared for our society these boys were. They came from the jungles. They came from a very agricultural, like a tribal existence, really. And it sounds funny, but it was, you can't imagine how overwhelming it would be to be lifted from your country and just set down in Charlotte, North Carolina in an apartment.
They had lived, after their escape from Sudan, they had lived in refugee camps where they had one meal a day that was prepared for them. They had a school with very limited facilities. And here they came to, 21st century America on planes, and they were given these apartments and they were found jobs. But they didn't know the culture, and they didn't know how to cook food or wash their clothes.
And you're given the cans of food, where they were putting cans in the refrigerator and poultry, chicken, and meat in the cabinets, and it's a wonder they didn't all get sick. They didn't know how to wash clothes or take the bus or just every kind of life skills.
Yeah, it's hard for people to assimilate themselves into our society and our way of doing things.
Or for these kids to realize what a huge leap it was for these young boys to come over, no mother, no father.
They didn't know even things like how to turn on the air conditioning in their apartments.
I'm back. The Kansas City investment banker, Joey McCliney, took Joseph under his wing and put him in the saddle.
Whoa now.
But Joseph understood, you don't qualify as a real American until you get behind the wheel. McCliney, his mentor, was happy to oblige. He offered up his brand new car for Joseph's first driving lesson.
Okay. I really hate that day.
You hate that day?
I hate it.
Yeah, well, you're laughing about it now.
No.
Keep your foot on the brake, pull this back, and put it into drive.
I said, gently take your foot off the brake and put it on the accelerator, and forgot the keyword gently.
There you go. Okay. Stop, Joseph. Stop. Brake.
Oh, God.
Brake. Okay, don't let go, Joseph. Hit the brake. Okay.
Isn't it?
That's the brake, the big one. Okay.
Oh, God.
Relax.
I'm so sorry what I made.
All right.
Yeah?
Relax.
So you blame yourself for forgetting a word?
Yeah, a coaching error.
Yeah. I could, of course, burden to his family.
But he was okay?
He was okay.
The
tree and the grass suffer.
The tree and the grass suffered?
Yeah.
In 2001, of the 4,000 lost boys brought to the United States, 54 resettled in Charlotte, a very different planet than they were used to. Many did not know their birthdays or exactly how old they were because no one kept records. Most were eager to work hard, often more than one job, and to get an education in their new world.
All of them worked to their limits and went to school, and so many of them now have high school diplomas from CPCC. And then several of them have gone on to four-year colleges, and the ones that haven't gone on to four-year colleges take classes that are appropriate for them. Some of them have gone to school to get a trucking license and other kinds of trade-type licenses.
Gabriel Chol and James Mijak are cousins who arrived in Charlotte as lost boys. Getting a little education in refugee camps, both were able to go to college in North Carolina. James believes he knows why he survived war and wandering as a refugee child when so many others did not.
I'm a believer in Christ, that it is God who gave me this opportunity to survive the war. And that's what I can say. And I hope maybe God has a purpose, to let me survive the war. And maybe He might use me in another way to help the daughters and sons all over the world in some years to come.
Both James and Gabriel returned to Sudan to get married, to get the wives that had been arranged for them. But it took the help of new friends in Charlotte. In Sudan, you see, the groom must give the bride's father an important gift called a dowry. For Gabriel, the dowry was cows, a herd of them.
Well, I thought that he needed
100.
75 or 100, but then it
ended up to be
I
about
think the ante
150.
got kind of upped over the course of the courtship or what have you.
I think it was 150 total. I don't know if
I know several times that I'd see Gabriel, I said, well, how are the cows doing? Because, make sure that none of them were stolen. Or he said, oh, I've got people watching them in the herd. So Gabriel wants to better himself. And I think go back and eventually do something as a minister for his country to help his fellow countrymen.
I have no doubt in my mind he's going to be somebody who in 20 or 30 years will be somebody that everybody knows because he is that brilliant and that smart. He speaks something like 13 languages. We've been very fortunate to get to know him. And I think that what's impressed me the most about Gabriel is that every time that you're around him, he's very uplifting. You would think somebody who's been through what he's been through and seen the things that he has at such a young age, that he would be very depressed and angry, but quite the contrary. He is just one of the most inspiring and uplifting people.
What's striking about them is they were young men with every excuse to give up and every excuse to say, I can't do it. And they never did. They never did. They came in working hard and having faith in themselves too. Saying, well, if I get some help, I can go to college, and I can succeed in these classes. So I think that's the most extraordinary thing that we've found about them is that they are hopeful people.
Being free does not mean you're not accountable. Being free does not mean you're not accountable. You're accountable for eyes, the ears, the mouth, those gates. And they understood this in a way, what I learned from them, that they guard what comes in because they realize their freedom from oppression, et cetera, had to do with learning, appreciate knowledge, wisdom, and understanding.
Nobody is immune from facing challenges. And I think what Gabriel has really taught me is that you have to just accept some things in your life you can't control, but you can control how you react. And I think that's something that I've really learned. And I think, young kids who are in middle school and high school, that's something that I think is a really good message, that you can only control what you do. You can't control these other things. You're going to be faced with a lot of challenges, but you just have to put your best foot forward and make the best out of every situation. If you do that, good things will happen.
And James Mijak, also hopeful, and remembering his childhood school is just an open space under a tree, aims toward building a better future for Sudanese children. He has occasionally returned to teach under the tree himself.
I have a planning of building a school in my hometown, which I had to go out and ask some of my friends here in the United States to help me to build a school for those children who are under the tree, because education is very important to this generation right now. And I believe education is a key, is the main key to open any door or wherever you go.
I think that they can teach you that any human being in any situation, if given the tools to succeed, they can do it.